2027 will mark the 50th anniversary of Star Wars. Hard to believe. And it's even more difficult to believe that it's been since 1983 that there's been a good Star Wars movie to come out. I digress, sort of. But given the fact that we are, T-minus 2 years away from said anniversary taking place, there have been a scant few details as to how Lucasfilm is going to celebrate the 50th anniversary up until this post right here. And this one makes all the sense in the world. Star Wars A New Hope 50th anniversary is slated to release in IMAX. And yeah, because you take a look at the box office this year in particular, whenever there is, a re-release of a hit from years gone by, like Jaws immediately comes to mind, how it ended up being #1 on the weekend. Earlier this year, in fact, in the Star Wars related news, you had Phantom Menace come out and make, $27 million at the box office? It's like, yeah, putting in A New Hope in IMAX, I mean, I'm sure that has probably happened before, but if you recall, back in 1997, for the 20th anniversary, when those went back into the theaters, George Lucas ended up making enough money to fund the prequels, and, say what you will, at least they have more of an enduring legacy than everything that Disney Lucasfilm has done with the IP in the years since. But this is regrettably about where the good news ends, because we went from the beginning and now we can go to the end, and the guy responsible for the film that arguably killed the franchise, okay? The Last Jedi is probably not the point in time where Star Wars became unprofitable, because it's still, made $1.7 million billion at the box office, so yeah. And we just recently got the profit totals from all of those Lucasfilm movies, Disney Lucasfilm movies, that is. And they didn't make as much money as they would have liked you to believe back in 2017, but yeah, the TLJ still made a little bit of money. And it's funny, right? Because in the afterglow of all of that, Rian Johnson was supposed to get his own trilogy, and here we are just about a decade later where we're supposed to be able to reassess The Last Jedi as the masterpiece that a small subsection of fans believe that it is, and any sort of progress with Rian working with Lucasfilm. But instead, he's out here, he's also trying to shill his latest movie to come out, which I think is, just a couple of weeks away at this point in time, might even be, sooner than that, which is so fantastic. You ruin Star Wars, and now you want to ruin the whodunit genre. I guess you go from killing off franchises to killing off entire genres. Good for you, I guess. But yes, Rian Johnson wants to direct more Knives Out films despite Netflix deal ending. Yeah, he signed on for a ludicrous amount of money to create 3 films, which for whatever reason, because he has his he has his fans out there that just lap up everything that this round-headed bitch does. So when Knives Out came out, and then when Glass Onion a couple years came out, they did big numbers on Netflix, because yeah, they've got normally these films have huge ensemble casts with a ton of A-list celebrities. It's just with the newest one that's coming out, outside of Daniel Craig and his stupid knockoff Inspector Clouseau character, fucking foghorn leghorn with a badge, I honestly don't know what to expect. But yeah, I'm looking forward to some breakdowns, because I just want to be able to understand just how stupid this shit is. But no, it's actually really genius if you think about it, because my subversion of my themes. But anyways, I'd be thrilled to keep making these for the rest of my life, and I would be happy if you would just stay over there in the corner of the entertainment world, where I don't really care what you do over there. But anyways, outside of just the odd laugh or two. But Rian Johnson has no desire to kill off his hit crime caper franchise Knives Out, despite his lucrative 2-picture contract with Netflix coming to an end. I thought it was more than that. But anyways, off the back of the success of the first Knives Out, the streamer in 2021, paid a reported $450 million for the rights to 2 sequels. Fucking Jesus, man. Good work if you can get it. A deal now complete with the 3rd installment, Wake Up Dead Man. But Johnson would love to keep going with the murder-solving escapades of drawling detective, Benoit Blanc, played by Daniel Craig. I don't feel burnt out doing all of these. I feel anything. I feel energized after doing this one. So as long as audiences want to keep seeing it, and Daniel and I are still having fun making them, and still feel like we can come up with some stuff that feels just fresh, but not just fresh, but fresh challenge for us, I think I'll translate to a new experience for the audience. Yeah, if I can find new and interesting ways to lie to the audience, and then just have all of my fucking suck-offs say, actually, you're not smart enough to realize that she had the bottle of hot sauce in her pocket. Like, oh, fuck off. But it's funny, right? He speaks about these projects with such aplomb and excitement. Meanwhile, Rian Johnson says coming back to Star Wars would be the most wonderful thing in the world. Oh, it would be so great. Even though he's talking about his, Knives Out franchise, where it's like, I would pass up a 3-way with prime Scarlett Johansson and Jennifer Connelly just for the opportunity to work on another Knives Out film. Interesting for a guy that theoretically has a trilogy just waiting for him over there at Lucasfilm. But yes, while doing press for Wake Up Dead Man, the next installment of his ensemble murder mystery franchise, Johnson told Empire magazine, that cog will be turning the rest of my life. I love Star Wars. His last, and so far only, Star Wars movie in 2017, The Last Jedi, yes, proved divisive. Yes, it currently sits at a 16% heinous score on critic list with 132 votes. But actually over on Rotten Tomatoes, like, the critics love it because it's like the big smart movie. Still, Johnson seems optimistic about returning to a galaxy far, far away. If Sunday I make sense, if it makes sense to come back to it for both of us, it would be the most wonderful thing in the world. Yeah, that just right there, the medium is the message. Yeah, you know, hey man, it should just kind of make sense or whatever. If I got a little time on my hands, or if I need to buy a new, in the words of Oscar Isaacs, if I need to buy a new house, yeah, I'll come back to Star Wars. Which it's kind of the prevailing opinion for both the audience, because we talked about it, God, in regards to the Mandalorian and Grogu stuff, it's like the audience is kind of burnt out on Star Wars stuff, new Star Wars stuff in particular, and when it comes to creatives, I mean, they have driven off more than they have brought in, and I think that is very obvious. We don't need to run down the list of projects that have been announced and abandoned by said creators. Rian Johnson happens to just simply be talking about it at this point in time, but you could point at James Mangold. He's supposed to be doing Dawn of the Jedi, but at the same time he's signing a big money deal with Paramount. Where's the Dan and Dave trilogy? Oh, they're working every couple of years on a season of TV for Netflix. Oh, okay. Simon Kinberg's apparently working on a trilogy. What about that Rey movie? Who's attached to it right now? We know that it's still orbiting Charmin Obaid-Chinoy. We need to make men feel uncomfortable. It is about time for a woman to be in charge of Star Wars. But the one that is the big talk of the town right now is, of course, the Hunt for Ben Solo movie, which is interesting because I've seen a couple of reports. Even though I've been trying to stay off of social media lately, I'm on the other side of an illness. I don't know if I put out a post on it or anything like that, but yeah, this week it's been light work, mostly because I want to get the redesign done, and there's a bunch of stuff that I want to do that just simply requires time, so on and so forth. But there's been, a couple of things that have broken through my media blackout, and yeah, quote-unquote fans flying a banner, I think it was over Disney, about save the Hunt for Ben Solo, where it's like, this shit is so fucking astroturfed. Because yeah, after 2019, nobody was talking any shit about the sequels. Nobody gave a flying fuck about the continuation of the story of any of those characters. And then lo and behold, all of a sudden we get this information that Adam Driver and Steven Soderbergh were out there trying to pitch a Hunt for Ben Solo movie, and Kathleen Kennedy was all on board, and now they being I don't actually know who this is at this point in time, because I cannot find the origin for this, but there seems to be this push for a redemption arc for Kathleen Kennedy because she was on side for this stupid sounding movie, but Bob Iger is the big baddie because, like, yeah, fucking Kylo Ren's dead. How are we going to tell this story? This shit makes no sense at all whatsoever. Have you seen how much the sequel trilogy cost and how much money it didn't fucking make? Why the hell would we be continuing any of those stories? Let's just go ahead and mine the OT and prequels for whatever juice they have left. But yes, report claims that the Hunt for Ben Solo canceled for political reasons, and may have cost Alan Bergman the CEO job. But does that really hold up? Yeah, this makes no sense. So some behind the scenes claims about the Hunt for Ben Solo are currently circulating, and they make the galaxy far, far away sound a lot more like an episode of Succession than Star Wars. According to the playlist, Steven Soderbergh's long rumored Star Wars film starring Adam Driver, The Hunt for Ben Solo, I hunted, wasn't canceled for creative reasons at all, but for internal political ones. The report alleges that the decision to kill the project coincided with Disney's internal CEO succession battle, and that fallout from the film's demise may have actually damaged Alan Bergman's standing as Bob Iger's potential heir apparent. So earlier this month, Adam Driver confirmed that he and Steven Soderbergh had been deep in development on a Star Wars sequel titled The Hunt for Ben Solo, set after the rise of Skywalker. The film reportedly had a completed screenplay by Scott Z. Burns and internal greenlighting from Lucasfilm, with Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni supporting it. Yes, and then the project aimed to explore Ben Solo's fate after the events of Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, he's dead. He transferred his Force essence back into Rey, I guess, and then that ended up getting him thrown down a fucking shaft on Exegol before it exploded. So I guess maybe if he does have that link to Palpatine that was getting alluded to, during the events of Rise of Skywalker. Maybe he also has an immunity to explosions and evaporations and disintegrations like Palpatine does. Anyways, but yes, a creative gamble that could have reignited the sequel era of the timeline and possibly even reshaped Lucasfilm's approach to legacy characters. Then, out of nowhere, Disney's corporate reportedly pulled the plug. The official explanation, according to multiple outlets, was simple. Bob Iger and Bregman didn't see how Ben could have survived the end of Rise of Skywalker. Well, yeah, exactly. That reasoning already raised eyebrows, considering the Star Wars universe has resurrected everyone from Palpatine, which was fucking dumb, and Darth Maul. Yeah, exactly. You know, that guy that was definitely dead who got bisected during the events of the Phantom Menace? It's like, oh no, he survived because he met up with night witches that gave him a spider lower half. Fucking dumb shit. But yes, citing anonymous sources close to the production, the playlist claims the Lucasfilm executives were blindsided by Disney's abrupt rejection of the film. They reportedly found the story's logic clear and creatively sound, and were confident that the film could move forward. Several people close to the production interpret the decision as politically motivated. The outlet writes, coinciding with Iger's efforts to position Bergman as his successor at Disney. Okay, so that sounds strange. It is strange. Bergman has never been a serious contender for the top job at Disney. Yes, he is respected internally for his financial acumen and long tenure within the company, but Bergman's career has always been that of a steady operations man, the behind-the-scenes executive focused on balance sheets and not boardroom politics. He was never positioned publicly or privately as Iger's heir. Real competition to replace Bob Iger has always been between two figures, Park chairman, Josh D'Amaro, who probably has the inside track at this point in time, and Disney Entertainment co-chair Dana Walden, whose reputation has definitely taken a hit thanks to her affiliation with ABC. And also, I've heard this as well, and it's been reported by multiple different outlets, how close she was with the Kamala Harris campaign circa 2024. Yeah, not exactly a fucking winner for sure. But the playlist adds another fascinating potential wrinkle. Writer Scott Z. Burns was allegedly paid more than any screenwriter in Lucasfilm history to finish the script, reportedly a low but substantial 7-figure sum. So he was paid millions of dollars to pen a script for a movie that is never going to get made. Interesting. In contrast, both Steven Soderbergh and Adam Driver were never compensated for their time developing the project, really, because of those two, Adam Driver recently brought this entire project to light, and I've seen a couple of things from Soderbergh, just lamenting that this film is never going to get made, which is interesting. That alone would be odd for a Lucasfilm production, which typically offers upfront compensation even for canceled projects. So if true, it paints a picture of a studio that poured significant resources into a film it later abandoned, and it raises obvious questions about how the plug was pulled and why. So yeah, it's interesting, right? Because simultaneously, there's a lot of news surrounding Star Wars, but also it's nothing of substance. Wow, it's another canceled project. Wow, it's another group of creatives that don't really want to do anything with Lucasfilm moving forward. When you're at a point in time where you actively have 2 films in development and the most exciting and the most interesting thing that you're doing is yet another canceled project, kind of lets you know all that you need to know in regards to Star Wars as a franchise. And I will leave you with Soderbergh's take on this, because I did manage to find it. He says that The Hunt for Ben Solo was the first time Lucasfilm had a finished script ready for green light and rejected by Disney. In the aftermath, I asked Kathleen Kennedy if Lucasfilm had ever turned in a finished movie script for green light to Disney and had it rejected. She said no, this was a first. And so that's why in the lead up to, because apparently right at the end of the month, Kathleen Kennedy's contract is supposed to be up and she's going to be leaving Lucasfilm anytime soon. So maybe if everybody's waiting for the public perception to turn about her, maybe that's why there is this AstroTurf campaign for her to be the misunderstood genius that was being held down by Bob Iger and Bob Chapek, that if she actually had the ability to green light and go ahead with anything that she could have, maybe Lucasfilm wouldn't be in the desecrated spot that it's in right now. Who knows, man? But never forget who is the one who handed Leslie Headland, former personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein, $230 million to crap out the Acolyte. Oh, right, that would be that misunderstood genius, Kathleen Kennedy. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.